Hello Maylinians, this is Teacher Joy and today we're going to discuss part 2 of the topic Factoring Polynomials. This video tutorial is based on your learning activity sheet in Mathematics 8, Quarter 1, Week 2A. So bring out your learning activity sheet and turn your learner's module to pages 8 to 54. Our learning target for this session is to factor completely different types of polynomials, namely polynomials with perfect square trinomial and general trinomials. Before the lesson, let's have some warm-up questions. I have here 2 questions for you to answer. The first question is, what is the square root of 64? Timer starts now. What do you think is the answer? Good job. The square root of 64 is 8. The next question is, what is the square root of x squared? Timer starts now. What do you think is the answer? Nice one. The square root of x squared is x. Let's talk about factoring polynomials with perfect square trinomial and general trinomials. This is a continuation of our lesson 1. What is a perfect square trinomial? A perfect square trinomial is the result of squaring a binomial. A perfect square trinomial has first and last terms which are perfect squares and a middle term which is twice the product of the square root of the first and last terms. The question is, how do we factor this kind of trinomial? To factor square trinomial, first thing to do is get the square root of the first and last terms. Then, list down the square root as sum and difference of 2 terms as the case may be. We can use the following standard forms of perfect square trinomial. The first standard is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, while the second standard is a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. Let us observe the similarities and differences between the 2 standards. What is the similarity of the 2 standards? You're correct. The first and last term of the 2 are perfect squares. How about their differences? Good job. The 2 standards only differ in their middle term. One is plus 2ab, while the other one is minus 2ab. Now what does it mean? These factors of a squared plus 2ab plus b squared is technically the quantity a plus b multiplied by the quantity a plus b, or the square of the sum of a and b. While the factors of a squared minus 2ab plus b squared is technically the quantity a minus b multiplied by the quantity a minus b, or the square of the difference of a and b. Let us have an example. Let us factor n squared plus 16n plus 64. Since n squared is equal to the square of n and 64 is equal to the square of 8, then both the first and last terms are perfect squares. And twice the first term multiplied by the last term is equal to 16n, then the given expression is a perfect square polynomial. The square root of the first term is n and the square root of the last term is 8. Therefore, the polynomial is factored as the quantity n plus 8 squared. Let us have another example. Let us factor 4r squared minus 12r plus 9. Since 4r squared is equal to the square of 2r and 9 is equal to the square of 3, and since negative 12r is equal to negative 2 multiplied by 2r multiplied by 3, then the given expression is a perfect square trinomial. The square root of the first term is 2r and the square root of the last term is 3, so that its factored form is the square of the difference between 2r and 3. The last type of factoring polynomials is the general trinomials. The question is, how do we factor trinomials with 1 as the numerical coefficient of the leading term? First step is factor the leading term of the trinomial and write these factors as the leading terms of the factors. Second, list down all the factors of the last term. Then, identify which factor pair sums up to the middle term. Then, write each factor in the pairs as the last term of the binomial factors. Let us have an example. Let us factor p squared plus 5p plus 6. First thing that you should do is list all the possible factors of 6. And what are the factors of 6? We have 2 and 3, 6 and 1, negative 2 and negative 3, negative 6 and negative 1. Next step is find factors of 6 whose sum is 5. 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. 6 plus 1 is equal to 7. Negative 2 plus negative 3 is equal to negative 5. Negative 6 plus negative 1 is equal to negative 7. Therefore, the factors of 6 whose sum is 5 is 2 and 3. Therefore, the factors of p squared plus 5p plus 6 is equal to the quantity p plus 3 multiplied by the quantity p plus 2. Let's have another example. B squared plus 4b minus 21. First thing to do is list all the possible factors of negative 21. And the possible factors of negative 21 are negative 3 and 7, negative 7 and 3, negative 21 and 1, negative 1 and 21. Second, find the factors of negative 21 whose sum is 4. Negative 3 plus 7 is equal to 4. Negative 7 plus 3 is equal to negative 4. Negative 21 plus 1 is equal to negative 20. Negative 1 plus 21 is equal to 20. Therefore, the factors of negative 21 whose sum is 4 is negative 3 and 7. Thus, the factors of b squared plus 4b minus 21 is the quantity b minus 3 multiplied by the quantity b plus 7. Let us factor 2q raised to 3 minus 6q squared minus 36q. Since there is a common monomial factor, begin by factoring out 2q first. Rewriting it, you have 2q multiplied by the quantity q squared minus 3q minus 18. Then, list all the possible factors of negative 18. And the possible factors of negative 18 are negative 1 and 18, negative 2 and 9, negative 3 and 6, negative 18 and 1, negative 9 and 2, negative 6 and 3. Since negative 6 and 3 are the factors of 18, whose sum is negative 3, then the binomial factors of q squared minus 3q minus 18 are the quantity q minus 6 multiplied by the quantity q plus 3. Therefore, The factors of 2q raised to 3 minus 6q squared minus 36q are 2q multiplied by the quantity q minus 6 multiplied by the quantity q plus 3. Let us have some recap. What are the different types of factoring that we've discussed? Brilliant! Perfect square trinomial and general trinomials. How to factor completely polynomials with perfect square trinomial. You're correct. Get the square root of the first and last term, then list down the square root of the sum and difference of two terms as the case may be. The last question is how to factor completely polynomials with 1 as the numerical coefficient. Amazing! To factor trinomials with 1 as the numerical coefficient of the leading term, first thing to do is factor the leading term of the trinomial and write these factors as the leading terms of the factors. Second, list down all the factors of the last term. Third, identify which factor pair sums up to the middle term. Last, write each factor in the pairs as the last term of the binomial factors. At this point, you may turn your activity sheet on enrichment part. Reminder, do not write anything on the activity sheet. Write your answer on a separate long band paper. For enrichment activity number 1, you're going to supply the missing term to make a true statement. Write your answers on a separate long band paper. For enrichment activity number 2, you're going to find the factors of the given polynomial. Then connect the dots of given polynomial to the dots beside the correct factors. The first polynomial has been drawn for you. Use the activity sheet provided inside the envelope of the learning activity sheet. Please get only one copy of this activity, then attach it to your answer sheet. And for your wrap-up activity, you're going to factor the given polynomial completely. Show your step-by-step solution. I hope you learned something today. If you have questions or clarifications regarding the topic we discussed, feel free to contact your subject teacher through text, call, or post your questions in your official Facebook group or page. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.